Have you ever found yourself wondering, maybe even really feeling it yourself, that if depression is, a mental illness, then why does your whole body seem to hurt? Why are you just so tired all the time? That kind of deep fatigue. Or why do your muscles ache? Maybe your stomach feels constantly uh, messed up, even when doctors can't find an obvious physical reason. Well, today we're going to take a deep dive into exactly that, the really profound and sometimes quite surprising ways depression impacts your physical body. Because it really is a full body experience. It's definitely not just in your head. And importantly, you're not imagining these symptoms.
No, absolutely not. And what's so striking here is just how fundamentally connected our brain and body really are. It's almost impossible to separate them. When one part struggles, the other inevitably feels it. So this isn't just about feeling sad. It's a really complex interplay. We're talking brain chemistry, your nervous system, your entire physiological setup, really.
Okay, so our mission today is to try and uncover the real reasons behind these physical symptoms. Maybe bring some clarity to what can feel, well, pretty confusing. We want to help you understand what's truly going on. We'll unpack why your body might hurt, how your brain's chemistry plays such a big role, and look at some specific physical symptoms you might encounter. We'll also dig into why recognizing these signs matters so much, and maybe some practical steps you can think about. Okay, let's get into it. So the first and maybe the most critical thing our sources really emphasize is that depression goes way beyond just a fleeting emotion or, a bad mood. We often describe it with words like sadness or hopelessness, but honestly, that barely scratches the surface of what's actually a much more pervasive condition.
Yeah, the research is, well, it's remarkably clear on this. Depression is systemic. It reaches far beyond just your emotional state. It really does impact your brain chemistry, your central nervous system, even your immune system.
Wow, immune system too.
Oh, yes. And your sleep cycle, digestion,
Ah,
hormones, and yeah, even the actual sensation in your muscles and joints. Understanding just how broad that impact is, that's foundational, really. It helps us move past seeing as just in your head. It's a comprehensive physiological challenge.
right. So it sounds like it all kicks off with that incredibly complex brain-body connection.
Mm.
Our sources point out that the brain is basically the command center, right? It's running the whole show.
Mm.
Thoughts, emotions, movement, digestion, even things we don't think about like heart rate and immune response.
Exactly. So when depression comes into the picture and causes an imbalance in the brain's delicate neurochemistry, that imbalance doesn't just stay put in the brain. It starts a cascade, like a chain reaction that echoes throughout your entire system. The sources specifically mention three key brain chemicals and neurotransmitters that are heavily involved. There's serotonin,
Okay, I've heard of that one. Mood, right.
mood, yes, but it also has a huge influence on digestion, sleep, appetite. Then you've got dopamine,
Motivation, pleasure.
crucial for those, yeah. The brain's reward pathways. And
Mhm.
finally, norepinephrine. This one handles alertness, energy levels, and that basic fight or flight response. So when the balance of these chemicals gets disrupted, the brain's communication lines get, well, dysregulated. Signals for mood, energy, even how you perceive pain can get amplified or misinterpreted all through the body. It basically translates mental distress into very real physical feelings. It's almost like your body's internal phone network is sending out garbled messages constantly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how specific those pathways are. And, you might actually be surprised by just how many physical symptoms are directly linked to depression.
Right.
Our sources lay out some of the most common ones, and, well, they often sound really familiar.
They really do. As we go through them, maybe consider if any of these, resonate with your own experience.
Okay, let's start with one of the big ones. Probably the most widely reported and, frankly, debilitating symptom, that profound fatigue. Just constant, overwhelming tiredness. And this isn't just feeling a bit sleepy, is it? It's that deep exhaustion where even simple everyday tasks feel like climbing a mountain. That feeling where your arms and legs feel heavy. Or maybe you sleep for 10 hours but wake up feeling like you haven't rested at all.
Yeah.
Maybe even more tired.
Exactly. And the mechanism behind that, as the research explains it, is really quite compelling. Your nervous system, especially the part responsible for fight or flight, the sympathetic branch, it can get stuck in the on position, chronically overactive.
So it's like you're always slightly braced for danger.
Kind of, yes. It's
Yeah.
running in overdrive in the background, even when you're just sitting there. And that state burns through a huge amount of energy. Your body is fighting this unseen internal stress, trying to process all these negative emotions. And that constant drain, that leads to that pervasive, persistent tiredness. It's different from just needing sleep. Your body is physically depleted by this internal battle.
Wow, that really connects the dots. Okay, so if the nervous system is running on overdrive like that, it's no wonder sleep gets so messed up too. What exactly does depression do to our sleep patterns, our internal clock?
Well, it's a whole spectrum of disturbances, actually. The sources describe quite a range. So on one end, you might have really bad insomnia, can't fall asleep, or you wake up constantly during the night, can't get back to sleep.
Right.
But then on the other end, you can have hypersomnia, the opposite, sleeping way too much, maybe 12 hours or more, but still feeling completely unrefreshed when you wake up.
So more sleep doesn't necessarily mean better sleep.
Not at all. And then there's the issue of just restless or shallow sleep. Even if you are technically asleep for 8 hours, your brain isn't getting into those deep restorative cycles it needs. So whichever way it shows up, the result is the same. You feel more exhausted, which then feeds back into the depression, making it worse. It's a vicious cycle.
So it's really about the quality of sleep, not just the quantity. Okay. And talking about physical feelings, the research is super clear on this. Depression can actually cause physical pain, like real aches and pains that aren't just imagined.
Absolutely. People very frequently report things like persistent lower back pain, tension headaches that just seem to come out of nowhere, chronic neck and shoulder stiffness, maybe generalized joint pain, or even stomach cramps that you can't explain. And the mechanism here is, well, it's illuminating. When your brain is stuck in that prolonged stress state, your muscles tend to stay chronically tense. Sometimes you don't even realize it. On top of that, your body's actual pain threshold can lower significantly.
Meaning things hurt more easily.
Exactly. What might normally be just a minor ache can feel much more intense, even debilitating. So the physical pain becomes a direct physical signal of that intense internal stress.
That's such a powerful link. Mental stress directly causing physical pain.
And speaking of the body, you mentioned the stomach earlier. Our sources talk a lot about digestive issues, too. I mean, most of us know that nervous stomach feeling before a big test or something, right? That's your brain talking to your gut.
Precisely. And scientists now call the gut the second brain. It has this incredibly complex network of neurons, the enteric nervous system lining the digestive tract. More neurons than your spinal cord, actually.
Wow.
So with depression, those communication lines between the main brain and the gut brain can get severely disrupted. Right. And that leads to all sorts of symptoms. Chronic nausea, maybe bouts of diarrhea or constipation, big shifts in appetite you can't explain, recurring stomach aches. And the research specifically points out that a huge chunk of your body's serotonin, that key mood chemical, is actually made in your gut.
Really? In the gut.
Yep. So when serotonin levels are off because of depression, it's really not surprising that your digestive system goes haywire too. It creates this kind of two-way negative feedback loop. Okay, and the physical impact keeps going, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. The sources also clearly say that depression can weaken your immune system over time, which might mean you find yourself getting sick more often, catching every cold that goes around, or taking much longer to get over things.
That's exactly it. The key mechanism here is chronic stress again. It drives up inflammation throughout the body. Now, this isn't like the inflammation you get with a sprained ankle, red and swollen. It's a low-grade systemic inflammation, kind of like having a very mild infection all the time, but it's persistent.
Okay.
And this chronic inflammatory state puts a huge strain on your immune system. It diverts resources, makes it harder for your immune cells to do their job properly, fighting off germs. So yeah, you become more vulnerable to infections and healing slows down.
That's quite a chain reaction.
Yeah.
And then there were those noticeable changes in appetite and weight. Another really common sign, but maybe one people don't always connect to depression. The sources talk about how it can go either way, right? Like completely losing your appetite and losing weight.
Right. Or the opposite, increased eating, often craving sugary or carb-heavy comfort foods, which then leads to weight gain.
Why did that happen?
It's because depression interferes with the balance of your hunger hormones. You've got leptin, which signals I'm full, and ghrelin, which signals I'm hungry. When these get disrupted, some people find food just doesn't taste good anymore, or eating isn't pleasurable, so they lose interest. For others, especially if those dopamine-driven pleasure pathways in the brain are dampened, food might become one of the few things that provides any sense of reward or comfort.
Leading to those cravings.
Exactly. Cravings for highly palatable, often less healthy foods. So sudden big shifts in weight, up or down, that you can't otherwise explain, that's a real physiological sign that something deeper is affecting your body's regulation.
And finally, our sources mention actual physical changes in how you move, sometimes feeling like you're moving through treacle. Everything feels slow, heavy, effortful.
Yes, that's clinically known as psychomotor retardation. It's like wading through mud, as you said.
But it can go the other way, too.
It can. The opposite is psychomotor agitation, feeling incredibly jittery, restless, unable to sit still, constantly fidgeting, that feeling of being physically agitated. Both of these are really clear, visible signs that your brain is overwhelmed and struggling to regulate even basic motor responses. It's the internal distress showing up on the outside.
Okay, so we've gone through all these connections. What's the big takeaway here? You might still be thinking, okay, but depression's about being sad, right? And yes, absolutely. Sadness, hopelessness, low mood, they are definitely part of it. The sources confirm that. But for a lot of people, especially maybe teenagers or men sometimes, these physical symptoms can actually show up first. They might become really noticeable before the more classic emotional signs really kick in.
And the implication of that is huge. It's precisely why recognizing these physical symptoms, which often get dismissed, is so incredibly important. It can genuinely empower you to figure out what's happening earlier, maybe prompt you to seek help sooner, and get you on a better path towards feeling better. It also completely changes the story around what depression is, doesn't it? It moves it from being just an emotional thing to a recognized mind-body illness.
Yeah. And crucially, understanding this helps get rid of that misconception that it's somehow your fault. Like, our sources really drive home. You are not being dramatic. You are not lazy. You are definitely not imagining these aches and pains. Your brain is dealing with a major physiological challenge, and that challenge is literally affecting your entire body. If you hurt, if you're exhausted, if your stomach's tight in knots, you absolutely deserve care and understanding, not shame. Okay, but here's where it gets really empowering, I think. Recognizing this deep connection means you can start taking actual concrete steps toward healing. Our sources give some really practical advice that directly addresses these physical issues.
Yeah, and a key insight is that the things recommended really do target the physical challenges we've been discussing. So, for instance, the very first, probably most crucial step is always to talk to someone. Your doctor, maybe a therapist, a counselor. And it's really vital, as the sources stress, that you tell them about your physical symptoms too, not just how you're feeling emotionally.
Right, give them the full picture.
Exactly. That complete picture is essential for them to really get what you're going through and figure out the best treatment plan.
That's a really important point. Okay, what else? Movement, you mentioned that helps.
Yes, movement. And you definitely don't need to suddenly start training for a marathon.
Ew.
No. Even gentle, consistent movement helps. A short, brisk walk outside if you can manage it, some light stretching, maybe a few minutes of gentle yoga. Movement releases endorphins. They're like your body's natural mood boosters and painkillers. And it can directly help reduce that muscle tension we talked about. The key is consistency, finding something you can do even when it feels really hard, not necessarily a formal workout.
Okay, just moving the body. And what about sleep? We know it gets disrupted.
Right. So the advice is really about prioritizing it. Try to establish a consistent sleep schedule. Go to bed and wake up around the same time each day, even on weekends, if possible.
That helps reset the body clock.
It does. And creating a calming bedtime routine is huge, especially minimizing screen time for an hour or two before bed. That blue light really interferes. Over time, that consistency can make a big difference in resetting your internal clock, boosting energy, and improving overall resilience.
Makes sense. And what about food? Fueling your body.
Another vital piece, often overlooked, but so important. Your brain needs good fuel to fight depression. Prioritizing whole, unprocessed foods, lots of fruits, vegetables, lean protein, healthy fats, helps your brain make those crucial neurotransmitters we discussed.
And avoiding the opposite helps too, presumably.
Definitely. Relying on sugary snacks, having those big sugar crashes, or skipping meals altogether just makes the chemical imbalances worse and harder to manage. It fuels the physical symptoms.
Okay. And what about professional help, like therapy or medication?
Absolutely essential for many people. Things like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, can be incredibly effective. It helps you identify and change negative thought patterns that fuel both the mental distress and the physical symptoms. And medications, like antidepressants, can be really helpful in restoring that brain chemical balance. This doesn't just impact mood, it often directly alleviates many of those persistent physical issues, too. They really work together, therapy and medication, supporting both brain and body recovery.
Okay, so let's try and pull all these threads together. What have we really seen today? We've really dug into how depression is so much more than just, a bad mood. It's complex, it's pervasive, and it deeply impacts your entire physical self. We've looked at how brain chemistry imbalances, that nervous system being constantly on alert, and the chain reaction through the body all create this very real physical experience.
Yeah, and the bigger picture here, the main takeaway is really to underscore that the fatigue, the aches, the digestive problems, the sleep issues, none of that is imagined. Your brain struggles are genuinely manifesting physically. It affects everything from your immune system right down to how you move. You're not being overly dramatic. Your body is just responding to a very real internal process.
But here's the really hopeful part, the empowering part. Understanding this connection means you can start taking proactive steps towards healing. Remember, even small things count. Gentle movement, trying for a regular sleep schedule, feeding your body well, and really importantly, talking to a doctor or therapist. And making sure you tell them about the physical stuff too. That's key. Seeking treatment isn't weakness, right? It's like necessary maintenance, like charging your phone when the battery is dead.
That's a great analogy, and it really brings up an important question for you, the listener. If your body is trying to send you these messages through physical sensations, are you really listening? The really good news, backed by a lot of evidence, is that with the right support, the right treatment, and time and patience, recovery is possible, both for your brain and your body. Your pain is real, and help is definitely out there.
So as you think about everything we've discussed in this deep dive, maybe just consider how truly intertwined your mental and physical health really are. Perhaps think about what new ways might you start listening a bit more closely to your body. Recognizing those subtle whispers, the fatigue, the aches, as potential insights into your overall well-being, maybe long before they turn into shouts.